It's 2 a.m. The silence of the house is shattered by a piercing cry. You stumble into the nursery, exhausted but ready to help. You gently scoop up your baby, swaying, shushing, doing everything right. But instead of calming down, the crying escalates into a frantic, arching scream. Then the door creaks open. Your partner walks in. The second your baby is transferred into their arms, instant magical silence. If you are the parent left standing there with empty arms, it feels like a physical punch to the gut. It feels like pure rejection. It feels like your own child is looking right at you and saying, "I don't love you as much as I love them." Most parents suffer through this in silence, convinced they're doing something fundamentally wrong or that they simply lack some magical parenting instinct. But developmental psychologists and neuroscientists want you to know the absolute truth. This heartbreaking preference has absolutely nothing to do with who is the better or more loving parent. It is not a popularity contest. What you are witnessing is not rejection. It is a deeply ingrained biological survival algorithm firing in real time. And to understand why your baby's brain is doing this, we have to look past the nursery and travel back in time to the very blueprints of human evolution. To understand the infant brain, you have to rewind the clock about 50,000 years. Picture a human newborn. Compared to almost any other mammal on Earth, human babies are born astonishingly unfinished. A baby horse can stand up and run within hours of being born. A human baby can't even hold up its own head for months. They are entirely, terrifyingly helpless, completely dependent on giant adult figures to survive in a world filled with predators and harsh elements. In that dangerous, ancient environment, a baby's brain could not afford to rely on a committee for safety. When a saber-toothed tiger attacks the camp, you cannot have an infant trying to figure out which adult is supposed to grab them. The baby's brain needed a fail-safe mechanism. It needed to wire itself to one specific, guaranteed protector. Fast forward to the 1950s, when a brilliant British psychoanalyst named John Bowlby revolutionized our understanding of human development. He gave this biological survival mechanism a name: attachment theory. Bowlby discovered that babies are not just looking for whoever plays peekaboo the best or who buys the most expensive toys. They are biologically pre-programmed to form a deep, singular, and intense bond with one primary figure, a concept he called monotropy. This primary attachment figure isn't just a caregiver. They become the infant's psychological anchor to the world. But how exactly does a baby who can barely see past their own nose choose this anchor? It turns out their tiny brains are running a highly sophisticated algorithm. So, what exactly is this algorithm? How does the baby score you? It comes down to three primal metrics. First is olfactory imprinting, or smell. From the moment they enter the world, babies have an incredibly heightened sense of smell. Before their vision clears up, they are building a scent map of their environment. They log the specific pheromones and natural scent of the person who holds them most closely and most frequently during their first few days on Earth. That smell becomes synonymous with safe. But the second metric is where the real decision is made: the distress-relief ratio. Here is the hard truth. The infant brain is constantly keeping score, but it is not scoring the fun times. It keeps score of the dark times. When cortisol, the stress hormone, floods their tiny system because they are hungry, terrified, or in pain, who is the person that reliably shows up? More importantly, who is the person that regulates their nervous system and drops those cortisol levels the fastest? The brain calculates, when I thought I was dying, this specific human saved me. The person who consistently wins the distress relief ratio becomes the primary anchor. And finally, there is emotional attunement, governed by mirror neurons. This is the invisible microdance of facial expressions. Babies don't just want a protector, they want a mirror. When the baby coos, does the parent instinctively coo back? When the baby looks startled, does the parent's face immediately show concern? The baby is looking for synchronization, the parent who offers the most consistent synchronous reflection, whose nervous system physically resonates with the baby's, locks in the winning score. And once that primary attachment is formed, something fascinating and, frankly, completely counterintuitive happens to the baby's behavior. Once this primary attachment is formed, something fascinating and often incredibly frustrating happens. The favored parent officially becomes what psychologist Mary Ainsworth called the secure base. Ainsworth proved this through a famous experiment in the 1970s called the strange situation. She observed that a securely attached toddler will happily explore a new room full of toys, but they are constantly running an invisible tether back to their primary caregiver. They walk away, explore a bit, get a little scared, and immediately run back to touch base and recharge their emotional battery. You are literally their charging station. But here is the ultimate plot twist that usually shocks the favorite parent. Have you ever noticed your child is perfectly behaved at daycare, or they're an angel with their grandparents, but the very second the primary caregiver walks through the door, they have an epic, inconsolable meltdown? You might think, they must hate me. Why are they only terrible with me? This isn't because they hate you, it's the exact opposite. All day long, they are holding together their stress, their fear, and their big, overwhelming emotions because they don't feel entirely safe processing them with anyone else. You are their safe space. They melt down with you because they know, implicitly, that your love is unconditional. You are the only person on earth they can afford to completely fall apart in front of. Your presence signals to their nervous system, okay, I'm safe now. I can finally let it all out. It is, ironically, the highest form of trust a human being can show. If you are the rejected parent, hearing all this might still sting, but there is a second phase to this biological protocol that you need to know about. Around 18 to 24 months, as the child's prefrontal cortex develops, a massive cognitive shift occurs. The toddler begins to realize they are an independent being, separate from their primary anchor. And to practice this terrifying newfound independence, they often aggressively pivot to the other parent. The secondary caregiver often suddenly becomes the fun parent, the partner for exploring boundaries, taking physical risks, and playing roughhouse. The favorite parent often shifts entirely. So, if you are currently the non-preferred parent, what should you do? First, do not force it. Do not snatch the crying baby away from your partner to prove you can soothe them. This only spikes their cortisol and delays the process. Instead, support the primary attachment. Be the steady, consistent secondary presence. Your time will absolutely come. A baby picking a favorite is never a failure of your parenting. It is a neurological triumph. It means your baby's brain is functioning perfectly. They have successfully built the psychological hardware required to trust another human being, a skill they will use for the rest of their lives. Next time your baby aggressively pushes you away to get to your partner, take a deep breath. It's not rejection. It's just 50,000 years of human evolution working exactly as it should. If this video helped you understand the tiny, complex humans in your house, subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of the human mind. Until next time, stay curious.